Who knows what Jay-Z, J.K. Rowling, Bill Gates and Oprah Winfrey all have in common? Okay, I will tell you then. They have all overcome failure in one shape or form to go on to gain success in their respective careers. Welcome to My Perfect Failure. Join us as we delve into the world of our perfect failures. We will interview, explore, and discuss how our perfect failures can lead us to success. Join us and tune in.
Welcome everybody to another episode of My Perfect Failure. Today we're in for a treat because I've got not one but two amazing guests for you today. So my guests today, they run Jammy Digital, an award-winning content marketing agency for businesses that aren't afraid to stand out. They do their best work with personal brands, helping them find and retain better, higher paying clients. They help business owners create standout content that helps their site rank on search engines, positions them as a go-to industry expert, attracts their ideal customers, and improves overall customer retention and satisfaction. They've also published a best-selling book, Content Fortress, that protects businesses owners from unnecessary stress by helping them attract their dream clients. So a very, very warm welcome to My Perfect Failure, Lyndsay Cambridge and Martin Huntbach. How are you both?
Good. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, we're excited for this.
Lovely. Martin, I'm not sure if I pronounced your surname correctly. Is it Huntbach?
Close enough. Huntbach.
Okay, Batch. Okay, third time lucky. Lucky with a bit of help. Delighted to meet you. Excited to meet you actually, because this is a subject that I think pretty much everybody from, I don't know, a 15-year-old up to an 80 or odd-year-old who's got a business, got a website, they want to have a really engaging experience, not just for them, but more importantly, their customers. And I think there's a lot of us, including me, that it can be a pretty forlorn exercise, not knowing what's going wrong, how to fix it, and not knowing where to turn. So I'm excited to have a conversation with you guys today. Just before we get into that, I just want to let the listeners know the title of this particular episode. So this particular episode is titled How to Attract Better, Higher Paying Clients Through Your Content. So something that I'm always keen to delve into this. But what I thought I would do, if we may start with, is how you guys got into this space, and maybe ladies first.
We've actually started out as a website design agency, and we ran that for quite some time. But we managed to grow our agency through using content. So that was really nice, and we kind of understood what worked and what didn't work. And then from there, we'd kind of moved over into content marketing because that was kind of a natural next step. And essentially, we learned that, yes, you can have the best, most beautiful looking, expensive website in the world, but without kind of really good content, it's not going to convert into, clients. So that's essentially kind of what we moved into, with our knowledge of how we grew our agency anyway.
Yeah, so you raise an interesting point. It was going to be one of my questions, but I'll dive into it because I've definitely seen and been aware, or maybe I even know people that spend time, money, and get super excited because they've got this aesthetically really appealing website in their eyes. But when actually they put it to you, and they obviously put a lot of money and hope into that, and when it doesn't execute, it doesn't deliver anything remotely like what they are hoping, it can be pretty devastating. So maybe you can elaborate on why that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the website is something to show. When you get a new website, it's something you can be proud of. It's something you can shout about. It's something that you can share without feeling too promotional. The problem is you only really get the chance to do that once, when your website goes live, and after the dust settles of the excitement of launching a brand new website, you actually need to start getting some consistent visitors. Because without visitors, the website, it could be the best website in the world, it's just not going to perform. So we got to the stage when we were building websites for clients and they were, you know, paying us handsomely for that service, and we were building it. We wanted them to get results with their website. But unfortunately, unless there's a strategy on the back end, you know, a website's not going to deliver traffic, leads, and sales by itself. There needs to be a strategy. And for us, we grew our business, like Lyndsay mentioned, producing regular, helpful blog content. And that's where our traffic started to increase. That's where the inquiries started to come through. And we just worked out that actually, if more people were to focus time, energy, and money on producing content first before they invested heavily in a website, that they'd actually have some data to go off. They'd actually know what was interesting to their viewers and their traffic, because they'd get to see what pages they land on, the most popular content, and then that actually helps dictate a website redesign in some cases. So we were doing it from the reverse, which was build a pretty website and hope that it works, but if it doesn't get any traffic, then it's never going to work. So yeah, that led us nicely into content. Well, you know, producing content is what Google suggests. They want you to produce lots of in-depth articles. They want you to actually be more educational, and it works. You know, all of our clients now who produce regular content get more traffic, leads, and sales, regardless of how good or bad their website is, because they're the most trusted in their industry, because they care about helping and guiding people. And then whatever their website looks like, yes, there's improvements you can make to a website. It's never going to be done. But ultimately, you need a traffic source. It just so happens to be that organic traffic, and Google is the most #1 visited website in the world still. So why not get on the first page of Google through helpful content?
Okay. So lots of wonderful points there. So I've got lots of questions that spring to mind. So when you're working with a client, when a client comes to see you and they're like, I want a brand new website, this is my idea, do you have to get clear with that client about why they want the website and really what they're looking to achieve before you can move forward and actually build it for them? The reason I asked the question, because sometimes people might be a little bit confused about their own business and about their clientele.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually something that we, when we ran a web design agency, we actually created a piece of content that said, if you're a brand new business owner, please do not invest your money in a website. For that reason, because it takes time to understand exactly what services you want to offer. Because, you know, we know ourselves, when you first start out, you offer every single service under the sun. We always used to joke, you know, we would have taken your bins out. That would have been a service, you know, it would have been paid for it. So, you know, you offer so many different services or products. And then as time goes on, you actually niche down a little bit. You get to understand your audience a bit more. You get to figure out, you know, your brand and how you want to come across in your copy and things like that. So all that's figured out, you know, it can take a year or 2 years, or, you know, to actually really understand that. So if you spend, I don't know, £10,000 on a website straight away, the chances are in a year's time that probably won't reflect what you do now. So it's really not a good use of your money. And the fact that there's so many really good website builders out there where you can get a really good, clean, professional looking website that looks really nice, and it's really easy for your website visitors to use, and it doesn't cost that much money. It's far better to set that up, get working straight away, get understanding your business, understanding your customers, and when you're ready, then you can invest in a website. But we would really recommend people kind of start that way first. And a lot of our clients, really successful people that came to us for a website redesign, they'd had their websites as DIY websites for 5 years. You know, they'd really muddled together with it, and that worked perfectly fine for them. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Okay. And in terms of, you guys mentioned content. I think, Martin, you mentioned content, and it's important to have a consistent run of content. So for people listening that want to maybe engage that, is there a rule of thumb in terms of how regular we should be looking to get content out?
Yeah, so we have clients who produce, 4, 5, 6 articles a month, and we have some that produce 2 or 3 articles a month. It really depends on what you're comfortable with, whether you're doing it yourself, how much time you've got, or if you're hiring an agency, how much money you've got. But ultimately, Google care about you putting content out there that users want. So there are some people who produce fewer pieces of content. Maybe they really want to create an in-depth guide. We've had some people want to create like 5,000 word articles before and target super specific keywords, and they might not need to produce content every week. But for the most part, most people will want to produce content on a regular basis. If you can aim for once a week, you can't go far wrong. Like, there's not any clients we've ever taken on that produce 1 article a week that don't see results pretty soon. Yeah. So it's a case of how much you can commit to. But ultimately, I mean, one of the issues people have sometimes when they're creating content themselves is, what should I post? I'm struggling to come up with content ideas, and should I talk about our latest office that we've just moved into, or should I talk about the latest award that we've won? And we really encourage you to really consider, what content do you need? I mean, your clients and potential clients will ask questions day in, day out. They will ask you questions that they need in order to become more knowledgeable, but also questions about your product, your service, whether or not it's the kind of service that they need, or whether or not there's other options available. There's countless questions that people ask on a regular basis. And as long as you're making a conscious effort to solve those problems and answer those questions in an unbiased, easy, clear way, then you're going to be rewarded, not just from traffic and SEO, but also you'll enable yourself to pre-qualify people with content. You'll be able to attract a higher quality of clients because your content is educating and informing them so much that they might not have as many questions when they eventually do speak to you. So it's less a question of what should you do, how frequent should you do it in order to help Google and please Google, more about what content can you give in order to serve your audience.
Okay. And how would you begin the exercise of really understanding what your customers or your audience need, and I guess remove our own bias? Is there a way that we can approach that?
Yeah, so I mean, the easiest way is to think about what your customers ask you, and they'll ask you all sorts of questions that when you think about it, they'll just keep coming to you. But things like, when they get on the phone with you, or when they book a call with you, or send you an email, they'll ask things like, how much does it cost for this? That's a question that everyone asks, and you should be answering on your website. All those kind of questions that you get, and we keep a log of the ones that people kind of send us, just because we think we can make content out of that. And it you very easily probably end up with 50 questions. I'm sorry if I've given you more work to do, but you very, very easily can come up with content in that way. And another thing is thinking about the objections that someone might have about working with you. So a good question to ask yourself is, why would someone not work with me? What is it about me that kind of would be off-putting? Maybe you're more expensive than your competitor, or maybe you do something differently. For example, if you're a lawyer and you don't offer a kind of no win, no fee, you don't do that. Well, why don't you do that? Think about the objections that someone might have about working with you, and actually create content around them, bring them out into the open. Because if your audience is thinking about them, then you actually talking about them and exploring them publicly can be incredibly powerful and make you trustworthy. So it's a really, really good thing to do.
Okay, lovely. And just laboring this point a little bit, Martin, you talked about getting content out. So just on that point, should we be looking to get content out if we do decide, for instance, we're going to produce content on a weekly basis, and we decide we're going to say, I don't know, Monday is the day? Should it always be a Monday, or can we have flexibility around that?
So you should produce content on a schedule that suits you. However, if you are producing, if you've decided that you like a podcast, for instance, usually it gets published on the same time, on the same day, every single week, or bi-weekly or monthly or whatever. And there is a massive benefit to consistency, especially when it comes to helping your audience, because they know it's going to come in at the same time every week. They know they're going to get an email. They know they're going to get notified by their whatever app that they're using with a podcast, especially. So it doesn't matter as far as Google are concerned, but it might matter if you are wanting to keep up a structure, both from an accountability point of view, because producing content's hard work, especially if you've got nobody, forcing you to do it. It's sometimes difficult to produce content week in, week out. So having a deadline is helpful. But as far as Google are concerned, they don't mind when you publish content as long as it's in-depth, helpful, and people are actually needing that content. They will give you the rewards from creating the content, regardless of when it's posted.
And sorry, I'm super interested in this because there's so much that springs to mind. So I say for people listening, but also for me. So when we produce content, is there kind of like a rule of thumb in terms of wordage? Should it be a certain amount of words, minimum, maximum?
Yeah, so it's a really good question. I think it's probably the most tricky one, I think, that people struggle with. But essentially, as long as you answer the question as thoroughly as you can, then that's how long it should be. You shouldn't kind of make something longer just for the sake of it, because that's not going to be very interesting for your audience to hear. I will say this, though, because that's not an exact answer. I will say this: when we've had questions, answer questions through our content, like such as how much does it cost for a website? Typically that will be beyond 1,000 words. It'll be 1,500 or 2,000 words, just because to actually answer that question thoroughly and really give the reader everything that they need to know, typically it is longer. So I think that, don't waffle on extensively if you don't need to. Answer the question thoroughly, but you'll probably find that to answer the question thoroughly, it will be a longer piece of content.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to think to yourself, one thing we always like to say, and one thing that we always get asked about is, how good does the content need to be? Like, can I just publish 300, 500 words and that be sufficient? But in reality, you want to ask yourself if this is really the best version of this content. For instance, if we are writing an article on how to use storytelling within your business, and that's a piece of content that we create, you think to yourself, well, you could give someone a basic framework of a story. You could, analyze what Star Wars do, or what this film does, or what this book does, and sort of include certain things. But why not explore multiple story formats? Why not give people examples? Why not give people templates? Why not allow someone to really consume that content and feel like you've gone the extra mile, you've given them everything you possibly can? That's the kind of content that gets people to share. That's the kind of content that gets people to link back to. That's the kind of content that Google will pick up and notice because you put in the extra mile. And you can easily see how that might be many thousands of words when you actually really start to think about how you can go the extra mile.
It's easier to repurpose as well when you do that. When you've got longer form content, you can repurpose it more easily, I think, into different kind of platforms, and that makes it much better. But yeah, we say rather than spending, creating 400-500 word blog posts, it's far better to create one at 2,000 words. I'm glad I got the maths right then.
Absolutely.
But one at 2,000 words, because you're going to go into more detail. It's going to be more helpful in the long run for everyone.
Okay, so my question hopefully will support people or aid people that maybe they think, love all this, fantastic, definitely food for thought and point of direction, but maybe they might be thinking, well, no, I'm just not that creative. Do you have any help for them? Some hope for those guys?
Usually the people who aren't or don't see themselves as creative, because I think everyone has a little bit of creativity in them, but usually they are really good at creating the kind of content that their competitors won't create. and it's the answers that people are really looking for. So to give you in terms of web design, you know, things like how much does web design cost, or what are the problems with WordPress, or those kind of articles, they require someone to really go through and just answer a question thoroughly without bias, just making sure that their reader has all the knowledge that they have. And that is far more important than sounding clever. You know, it's not about trying to dazzle people. It's just about answering someone's question. If you think about what salesperson you prefer to come across, is it someone, you know, dead sleek in a shiny suit that throws kind of jargon at you, or is it someone that just simply answers your questions with knowledge and gives you everything you need to know to make a good buying decision? And it would be the latter. So don't worry too much if you're not kind of that creative, or you don't think you're that creative, because actually that can be a good thing.
Okay, I love that. I love that reframing, turning a negative into a positive. So I love that. So I was thinking, as you were talking, around maybe examples that you guys have encountered, and maybe people that you've supported that have come to you in despair because they've got a website, it's not converting, that they don't know who their customer is, they're not getting the leads, and they're just like an utter despair. I don't know whether who want to take that one, but do you have a maybe an example or something that you can relay?
Yeah, I think it is quite important to remember that each client that we work with, that we write for, has completely different goals. And one of the things that we really like to do is try to, on the kickoff call, is understand what their goals are, because some clients, for instance, will be in despair because they're not getting any visitors to their website. Other people might be getting lots of visitors, but the kind of inquiries that they're getting are really that they're not their ideal clients, or they're wasting a lot of time with, for instance, customer support, and they need content in order to support them. You know, some of our bigger clients, for instance, love to use content in order to save their customer service team from dealing with endless inquiries over and over and over again. So there are many examples, and most of the clients who work with us want us to improve a different area. And sometimes what we'll have is clients that say, oh, we just want to rank on the first page of Google. At the minute, we're spending far too much money on ads, or we're spending far too much time on social media and we're not getting any traction, and we just need to get some visitors to our website. Then that content strategy would be slightly different from someone that is, wanting to increase the quality of the clients, which was our goal originally. So I'll give you the example that we had. We were in despair with our agency because we were constantly getting leads and sales when we were building websites, but the quality of the clients, it was just causing us a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. You know, the kind of clients that didn't have the budget and they were haggling price, and it was just, we were dealing with a lot of low value clients. So we found ourselves, as the example, in despair and dealing with stress and sleepless nights and things like that. So we needed to improve our content strategy and tweak our content strategy in order to fix that problem. So I suppose we would be the best examples.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
in that sense.
We really struggled, I think, because we'd learn how to grow our agency using content, and we were getting leads in, which is a good place to be, but the people that were coming to us weren't necessarily the right fit. We would get ghosted a lot, so people coming on to calls and then not going ahead and disappearing off the face of the planet, or would be take on clients that just weren't right for us, and maybe treated us a little bit like employees, or not very nicely, expecting replies on weekends and all those kind of things. And we quickly realized things got quite serious, really, in terms of how it impacted us and our mental health, that we had to kind of put things in place to stop that. So yeah, we were kind of in despair, which is a very apt word. So we had to create content that really prevented that from happening again. So that's kind of what we did in that sense.
And to make that shift, because it sounds, I can appreciate that, because I've definitely been around people who've encountered that scenario. Even probably I've encountered it in some jobs where you've got people that have unrealistic expectations in terms of what that union looks like, and they put unfair pressures on you to achieve XYZ because they're your client. And in terms of remedying that, did you have support there, or did you guys, because of maybe the experience that you had, things that you'd observed, you were able to come up with your own solution?
So we, as you know, we've always been a fan of content, and we just worked out that if we could use content in order to solve one business problem, which at the initial stages was we want more traffic and leads, then why couldn't we use content to solve a different problem, which was increase the quality of the clients and quality of the leads? So that content strategy switched from, doing keyword research on what people are typing in to what are the kind of clients that we want? How can we increase our authority through content? And sometimes that required us to be a little bit more explicit about the kind of clients we wanted to work with, and also our process, educating people on the process that we use in order to help them. So more content like that really allows people to understand that you work a certain way because you know that that's the way to do it. So that alleviates some of the stress of, we want you to do it this way. Well, no, this is how we do it. We've outlined this on our website. This is our 31-step process to do this, and this is why, and this is how we get results for our clients. So sometimes the more communication that you put on your website, the more confident you look, the more committed you are to your process and the way that you work. Within any organization, there are best practices. It's just that sometimes when clients are there and they're wanting to work with you, sometimes a lot of business owners say, well, I do have a general process that I like to follow to ensure that this is a successful project, but I really need the money, and this client's got their own method. So I might just take their money, take them on, and then sort of just do what they ask me to. Yeah. Unfortunately, that was the problem that we had, and we started attracting a lot of people. So then we had to sort of switch to create a little bit more repelling, what we call repelling content. I don't know if you want to elaborate on repelling content.
So repelling content is usually people's favorite kind of content when they hear about it, but essentially it aims to repel the people that you don't want to work with. So a very simple article that you could create is the reasons why you shouldn't work with me. And we've got this on our website, kind of 11 reasons why you shouldn't work with us. And it lists, it's very kind content. It doesn't sound it from the title, but it lists the reasons perhaps why you're not the right fit for someone. And things like, you want someone to, you want to give someone blog article ideas and just get them to write it. Well, we're not the right fit for you because we like to do the strategy. And, that can be something that explained. And it's really good because, one, it helps your potential customer understand whether, you are right for them or not right for them. And two, obviously, it helps you because you're not attracting the wrong people to your business. You're not speaking to the wrong people. So it's not there to just kind of be an ego type thing. It's there to actually protect you, but also to help your customer make a really good buying decision. And that's the kind of content that we continuously create that really helps people understand what it is they're buying, who they're working with, and how we operate, and whether they're going to be right for us, whether we're right for them, and helping people understand that through our content.
Yeah, and the best thing that we've found is that when we now get inquiries, and our clients get inquiries, if this is their goal to increase the authority or the respect within that client working relationship, then we can actually use that content within the sales process. So when someone gets in touch, you can say, oh, I see you want to work with us and you want to book a call. Before we get to that stage, I just want to make sure you've got all of the information that you need. And that can include, reasons you might not be the right fit for us, or it might increase, this is the process that we use, or it might be, here's how much we tend to charge. And before you know it, you're actively using that sort of we call it a content fortress, which is the name of our book.
Yes, I wanted to ask about that actually, because that's your book, right?
That's the idea that every piece of content is an additional stone in your content fortress in order for you to protect yourself against bad fit clients who don't align with your values, who don't respect you, don't trust your processes. And that content really does protect you from those kind of clients, and ultimately allows you to appeal to your ideal clients.
Yeah, I really like that process of really, really intelligently bringing in those questions when when a client approaches you, you're having that call, and it almost feels like a very easy very easily slotted in. So you can very nicely say, thanks for your time. It'd be great to maybe just to run you through how we work, how we operate, what the prices are. Does this all sound like what you're aiming for? And if they say yes, fantastic. But if they sometimes don't even have to say anything, you might see it in a pause or in maybe their expression. And at that point, I guess you know that maybe you're not the best fit for one another. They will know that. They will probably be fine to go, and vice versa, you guys as well.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Exactly. It just means that you don't spend too much time with people that aren't the right fit, and that's a benefit for you and also a benefit for them as well. So it's always good all round.
So part of what we've discussed, certainly in the last few minutes, pretty much all of it, that would really help people that are listening to this now, that really are wanting to go maybe for the higher paying clients that maybe are their dream clients. So a lot of what we've just discussed, they can employ those strategies, and really what they're going to see is, over a period of time, an upswing in the types of clients that they want to attract.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this has been our biggest shift, which is whenever we have someone reach out to us or want to work with us, we have that process in place, which is, that's great. We don't work with everybody, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's only the same of having a dress code when you want to go in an expensive restaurant, and that has its benefits. Being seen as a higher tier consultant or coach or agency or whatever you are, the fact that you say we don't work with everyone, the fact that you say we have a process and a methodology that we follow in order to be successful, and if you don't want to fit in within that process, that's totally fine, but we're not the agency for you. It does an awful lot into increase your brand. The fact that you're not looking for everyone and you're not serving any kind of business or any kind of person, it does increase your authority and level of trust. And people respect you so much more. So what it's made happen is that people sometimes who came to us originally with a certain frame of mind, where they're used to getting what they want, they're used to telling people what to do and having people, bend over backwards for them. It meant that having that initial process of let's wait and discuss whether or not we're the right fit, it instantly increased the respect, and it made the rest of the process far easier, because we were milestone in it to say, this is what we do, this is what we don't do, and it may or may not work. It meant that they didn't want to damage that relationship as well, which is, a unique situation for most businesses.
Yeah, and it is unfortunate that we had to put that in place, because there was no difference between our knowledge and experience before we did that and afterwards, and the fact that you do get more respect, I think, when you start creating that kind of content or when you start taking that stance. And it is unfortunate, and it bothers me more than anything when people don't treat people right. But
yeah, absolutely.
it is something that we've kind of learned to do. And particularly if you're not a type of person, and I'm not the type of person that can get on a call and be, I don't like conflict. I don't like things like that. So if you can let your content kind of be your kind of, doorman or bouncer or someone to stick up for you, even if it's you that's, created that content, it kind of acts as your protector in that way. Especially if you're someone like me who perhaps, face-to-face situations, I wouldn't like that, but I can let my kind of content do the sticking up for me, which is always nice. Yeah.
And what's really interesting around this is that a website, if you don't put in place a lot of the tactics that you've described, it can actually be really detrimental to our mental health, which is kind of crazy, but it just shows you that by utilizing and implementing some of the steps that you've described, really can improve not just your sales and the happiness of your customers and your audience, but also our mental well-being.
Yeah, absolutely. And we actually did a survey of about 500 business owners on this about their client relationships, and 89% of them have said they've lost sleep over clients. Yes, and 74% said their mental health had been impacted because of client relationships.
Yeah.
So this is I mean, we were surprised by those statistics because we knew obviously we'd experienced it,
Yeah.
but we didn't know kind of how widespread it was. And this is a big problem, and it's really unfortunate. It's a big problem, but hopefully we've given some people some ideas to kind of combat that a little bit.
Yeah, so this has been really insightful. So I'm learning every time you talk, I'm learning heaps. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And so just in relation to a lot of the wonderful information you've described, do people have to be patient? Because people that want instant gratification, they implement something and they expect an immediate return. So the shift that you guys made, I would imagine that it's not instantaneous. You've got to make the decision, go with it, and then over a period of time you'll see the transition and the results that we want.
Yeah, so it's interesting actually. You're probably more likely to see results sooner using the Content Fortress methodology than you would if your goal was, we want better search engine rankings, we want more traffic, because you're relying on a third-party tool like Google to pick up and index your website, and you're only in control marginally. However, if you want to fix your sales process now and start attracting better clients, you can easily implement that right away. The next time you get an inquiry, for instance, you look for warning signs and you actually think, well, why was that client relationship? Why did that project become unsuccessful? Great. How can I create a piece of content tomorrow in order to improve that process? Okay. So it's the one that people don't think about. I'm going to create content to appeal to higher paying, better quality clients. They always think about the traffic and the leads and sales, and then they're waiting 2 or 3 months for Google to pick it up and start showing them on the first page of Google, whereas you can actually improve your internal processes and the kind of clients you attract, start repelling people straight away. It just takes some writing and some creation, really.
Yeah, and we always say as well, for any change you make in your business, create content around it. So for example, every time we raise our prices, we write an article saying why we are raising our prices. And we run, basically it's a list of things, of amazing things that you do. That's all that piece of content is. It's just listing all the amazing things that you do and the amount of effort you put in, and you're having to raise your prices for these reasons. And you can say, I'm actually raising my prices on this date. And if you send that out to your email list on social media, things like that, that can get you sales straight away far quicker than, say, relying on SEO. And it's the same as we've created content, how we're using AI in our agency. Any kind of change you make to your business and you don't think that's interesting, but it actually is really interesting to your audience. Make sure you shine a light on that and show people the benefits of it and talk about it on, say, your website and on social media and in your emails. And doing that can actually lead to some very quick sales if you do it right.
Yeah, especially if you've got like an audience of some kind, a few hundred people or a few thousand people on an email list. The kind of content Lyndsay's referring to is the kind of content that we create for people if they want instant results, if they want instant sales, if they want to get somebody off the fence to actually sign up to become a client. There's various different pieces of content. Actually, in the Content Fortress methodology, sales content is one of the 8 pillars, along with repelling content and process content, which we've spoken about on this call. But there are many different goals that within your business that you might have. So whatever result you want is generally a piece of content or a pillar of content that you can focus on first. And that's why there's not like a step-by-step process. It's just really think about what your goals are as a business. Is it more traffic and leads, or is it we want better clients, or is it I need money now? What content can I create? And whatever your goal is, there's usually a set of articles or a set of videos or whatever that you can create in order to help you achieve those goals sooner.
And so thank you. You cover such a wonderful gambit of different challenges or solutions that people might have depending on where you are. So Content Fortress so obviously you guys can support people with that. So if people want to contact you, I'm going to get your details, put those on the show notes and so forth. But Content Fortress, does that cover a lot of what you've just described?
Absolutely, yeah. That's our book. If you reach out to us, we'll absolutely give you a free digital copy of it. So don't have to go and buy it. The more people who understand this concept, the better it's going to be. And obviously for businesses who want to hire us in order to implement a content fortress, obviously that's available. That's the main thing that we do. But yeah, we love to talk about the concept. So, it's just about supporting more people and helping them improve their businesses in whatever way that we can, regardless of just working with clients. We want to share our message far and wide to help other people protect themselves from low-paying, difficult clients that are causing stress and a lack of sleep. We've been there. We don't want it for you guys. So whatever we can do to support you.
Yeah, totally. And it must be really, I guess, rewarding and a rich experience when you're starting to work with clients who come to you in utter despair. Maybe their website isn't doing anything for them, or maybe they've experienced some of the things that you guys have described, and you're able to just look at it with enlightened eyes and really help transform their experience and their relationship with their website and with their whole business.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing to do. And I think if we were just kind of creating content just for the statistics, just for this is how much your website traffic's gone up, that wouldn't excite us. It's actually seeing the end result of someone having a happier, healthier business, and feeling better about it and feeling good about it. So yeah, that's the main thing that excites us, definitely.
Okay, lovely. So for people listening who, regardless of their situation, say they listen to this and they may have given up on their website, what would your advice be to those guys that literally have done nothing with it? It's just them, or maybe it just hasn't yielded anything for them, and it's maybe one of those taboo subjects that they never would really want to broach.
Yeah, I think the idea really is think about your clients, think about your audience before you think about yourself. So if you're a bit tired with the website and you're not really sure what to do, sometimes just listening to your audience and helping them in any way possible is going to benefit. You're going to benefit from generally more search engine rankings. You're going to be able to get more visitors on your website. If you just start creating content in order to help and inform your ideal audience, you can't go far wrong. And once you start to see that, you'll start to see some traffic come in. You'll start to see people share your content. You'll start to, realize that it does make a difference. Just serving people without asking anything in return can have a huge impact, not just on the traffic, leads and sales, but also your value as an expert, as an industry leader. If you're feeling a little bit of a lull in your business, then sometimes creating content and helping people is the best thing that you can do. It's a fantastic thing to go out and do nice things for people. It's just our nice things for people is creating lots of free content, helping them out of difficult situations with their business, helping them understand that it's simpler than they think. Whatever that would be for you and your clients or potential clients, there's always a way that you can help them through content.
Okay, lovely. I've got a scenario. So you're a website. So you've got a website, excited that you're putting a website together. Maybe you don't have that many subscribers or followers yet. You're in that process of building that. So should people focus more on subscribers before they get going with their website, or can you do it in tandem? Is there a rule of thumb or some advice you might have?
Yeah, so I think if you've not got a website, we would advise everyone to get a website up, because it's relatively simple to do. And I'm not technically, very good technically wise, but to get a DIY website up using even a simple website builder would take you, less than a day. Just get something up that showcases what it is that you do. You can always, build your audience on there by blogging, and you can always obviously build your audience and grow your subscribers and your email list through social media and those kind of things. But have a reference point, a point that is your little space on the internet that's only yours and you own it and no one else. You're not reliant on anyone else. And that should be, a place that you continuously develop and work on. But in terms of, don't spend too long setting it up. So I'd definitely say work in tandem to that.
Okay. And so there's two things I definitely want to mention. So I want to mention your wonderful YouTube channel. So I've been watching that today, and you will have a new subscriber before close of business today. You've got a wonderful YouTube channel with lots of interesting stuff. There's one thing that I picked out was Martin, where you were talking about what did you say? That your website is like your customer service tool. I like that because you don't always think of it that way. No. You should do, but that wasn't something that I thought about. So that really ran out to me. And also where you talk about we can change our language in terms of how we're conveying to our customers. So lots of really insightful information, much of what we've covered today. But I also wanted to, so I'll put that in the show notes as well. So if people, I encourage people to definitely sign up to or subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. People will definitely want me to ask around AI and ChatGPT. What's your thoughts around ChatGPT or AI in conjunction with a good website?
Yeah, so we obviously write content for that's our living. So when AI came along, like many other content writers, we're a little bit unsure about how it might impact us. But we actually love AI now, in the sense that we know what it's good for and we know what it's not quite there for. So we use it to sometimes take the content that we create and repurpose it across multiple platforms. We use it sometimes to plan a structure of an article. It's just not good enough, unfortunately, to be able to create unique, original content that's insightful, interesting, and that's going to benefit your ideal readers and website traffic. So we want it to be good enough, but unfortunately, it's just not quite there yet. So we're using it to plan and maybe repurpose content, but we still have to come up with the original content. Because, you've got your own stories, you've got your own examples, you've got your own, there's a passion there that you have as a business owner that you want to serve people with. And, take everything that we've discussed on this webinar about our concerns with our business and the problems that we're facing and the fact that we didn't like to deal with this particular client situation, but we wanted a higher quality client. Trying to explain that to AI is going to be quite tricky no matter how good the tool is. So I do think it's important for us to all take responsibility of the business that we want and understand that you'll have to get some core ideas down first, and you'll have to implement a little bit of a content fortress if you want to improve your business. Yes, AI tools might help you repurpose or come up with the odd example here and there, but just be honest, open and honest and transparent with your ideal clients and your blog articles and the content that you put out to the world, and you'll start to appeal like-minded to like-minded people. If we decide to tell a story about how we're a family and we went to Alton Towers this weekend, you're going to have people connect with that much more than if you're just telling them facts and data points. So you really don't want to lose that. And unfortunately, AI cannot manufacture that yet, and nor would we want it to. Yeah,
and I agree as well, because I think that when you really engage with your clients, and AI can't do that. It won't have the relationship that we have with our client. And when we have those moments of inspiration, when we want to put something down on paper or we want to type something out or whatever it is, there's a kind of a union in terms of the spirit and in terms of the emotion and the satisfaction and the importance that you get from it coming from within. And AI will never be able to replicate that. It can it's brilliant for structure, those types of things, and help and for maybe helping us with time management, those types of things. But I think from an emotive and really touching, the souls of the relationship we have with our client, it will never be able to replace that. Absolutely. So getting towards the end now. So for people listening, where's the best place for them to find you?
So jammydigital.com is our website. We've got lots of tools and resources and downloads that you can access all for free. If you drop us an email, we'll give you access to the Content Fortress book and a little mini course for free so that you can, take action and start getting results today. Martin at jammydigital.com, and just drop us an email and we'll send you that. So yeah, and then all the socials, LinkedIn, YouTube, we're everywhere.
Okay, lovely. Well, thank you for the education. This has been brilliant. I was looking forward to this from a selfish perspective, get all this wonderful information, but it's been really wonderful to meet you and glean all that information. So there is a recurring question on the podcast, which is if you could invite 3 inspirational people for dinner, and they can be alive or they could be past, who might you invite? And maybe Lyndsay, you might want to go first, and then Martin will move on to you.
Yeah, sounds good.
Great.
It was 3 inspirational.
You'd be 3. Yeah, it's 3.
Okay, maybe we share between us. I was trying to think.
I've got 2, if you like.
Okay.
I've got one, which is purely from a very personal perspective, is Anne Hanley. She wrote a book called Everybody Writes.
Okay.
And I actually really struggled in school with dyslexia. So I always thought that I could never, ever write. And I read that book and I realized that actually writing is not just about being perfect and having perfect grammar and spelling. It's about so much more than that, about the things that I really love and really good at, storytelling and really connecting with your reader. And reading that book by Anne Hanley made me realize that, and that's why I kind of went into content marketing. So yeah, I think that's the most inspiring one for me.
I've written that down.
So mine first one would actually not be in the content marketing space. I think Robin Williams would be an amazing guest. I think the idea of taking any situation and adding humor to it is something that we can all benefit for when it comes to from creating content. I think humor is the biggest differentiator when it comes to pushing your message out in the world. You know, nobody's going to complain if you make them laugh. And if you've got a message and a helpful insight to go along with it, that would be incredible. And then finally, I would say I'm a big fan of Stevie Wonder and his music and the fact that he's gone to his highest heights through adversity, obviously, and his passion and drive is enough to motivate anyone.
Wow. What a fabulous dinner this would be.
That'd be such a cool dinner.
You could do their websites as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, it's been wonderful meeting you, and thank you for sharing such wonderful insights and really helpful insights, and also insights into how problematic websites can be if we don't do some of the things that you've just outlined, and there will be people suffering in silence because they just don't understand how they can tweak things. And so thank you very much for that. It's been really helpful.
No, thanks so much for having us. We've loved it.
Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, everybody, for tuning into this episode of My Perfect Failure. We're always looking to grow the show, so please do share this episode far and wide, particularly if you know people that are struggling with their websites and really want to see an upturn in their fortunes, connecting with their customers, maybe getting the right clients. So please do share this episode. And your feedback is most welcome. So we're keen to hear about the things you like and equally the things you don't like. So you can find me at paul@myperfectfailure.com, or you can find me via the contact page on the website. So take care for now. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening to My Perfect Failure podcast. Be sure to visit www.myperfectfailure.com to join the conversation. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Google Play. Look out for our next episode.